Hello there, my name's Ray. I'm with Team S.t.e.a.m. Today I'm here at Flash Industrial Painting to address a seating issue. You see, our upper garden has fairly adequate seating, but our lower garden doesn't. You'd have to sit on the edge of the raised beds to sit anywhere. So today I'm going to address that. I'm going to scrounge some materials and I'm going to go ahead and put together a bench. What I've come up with is some trampoline poles. This is a seat frame out of a 1958 International A110 pickup. I put different seats in it, and I always just kept this frame because it was good and solid, and I thought maybe someday I'd, build a bench out of it. So that's what that's gonna be the main bones of it. And then I've got some pallets. This is just one of them, but I've got plenty more when I need them. And we're going to take these three items and go ahead and put together a bench for the garden. So before I do much else, I need to get some measurements together. How wide do I want this thing to be? How big of a footprint does it need to have in the yard to keep from tipping over or blowing over? And also, how high should the seat be? Because that's very important. So I'll take those measurements, I'll put all that together, and then I'll come up with some sort of structural plan that will look decent enough and be able to hold plenty of weight for the long haul. All right, so I've got this first piece cut enough and welded completely in place, and I'll be cutting this off later when I find out exactly where I'm going to cut it off. Now I've got this other piece put in place. It's going to be welded here on the back side here and to this right here. Now I've got this end of it beveled in like it should be so I can get a more complete weld, and then I'm going to do this exact same thing to the other side. All right, I've got it all welded up the way I want it, both sides. It's free of its jack stands now, it just sits on its own. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip it over onto these boards in this tarp and weld my braces on the underside and weld the undersides of these welds that I couldn't so easily get to. All right, so I've got my braces all welded on, all sides, everything's all welded. I've got the feet welded on it. I've got, these are giant washers that I just decided to weld on, and they're washers, so they're hollow in the middle, which is going to be great. You don't want any of this to be sealed up completely airtight. Eventually moisture will get in. And I've got the braces all welded up, got everything all welded up, got these figured out and cut. I'm just going to put a piece of metal across here, so that'll hold the front of it. This is going to hold the back of the armrest. This piece of metal will hold the front of the armrest. I'll weld it to this, and then once all that welding's done, then the metal work here is basically done. I can go ahead and remove these little bumpers and go ahead and finish prepping this guy and get it in some paint. And so now here I've got my pallets broken down, and this is the only piece that's not out of a pallet. This was just part of something that was shipped to me, and I always keep all that wood that gets shipped to me because a lot of it times it's hardwood and rough cut and in good shape. So this one's a little bit wider, but the rest of these are all, and I've got these labeled. And then here in a few minutes, I'm going to have all those labeled as well. So I know exactly where they go, because I'm going to sand them all and get them all prepped and get them all painted, and then go ahead and put them on tomorrow. Okay, I got my station set up, and this doesn't have anything to do with it. This is going over here. This is to cut out the armrests. But I've got more than half of them done now. And I've just been pinning them down with these clamps and then sanding them as needed. And this is what I've ended up with. And I'm going to get these all blown off and painted white here before the end of the day. And that's for another station I'm setting up. As you probably can't tell, I had 3 stations set up here, a couple boards on these, and then some more 4x4s. I was actually a landscaping timber on this one that all of the boards could lean on, and I had them all out here, and I primed them all by hand with a roller in epoxy primer. Both sides, all sides, double coated. That way they're good and ready to go. And I did all that with a roller so I could set these up, and I let them set out in the afternoon sun here for a few hours. And now I've got them all set up in here where I can come through and paint them one at a time, set them up against this, where the only thing you're touching is the floor and just that right at the very, very top. That way I can do both sides of all of them. I'm going to do that on this side, each one, and then set it there, one at a time, set it there, one at a time, set it right next to the one that's already there. That's why I have the gap right there where I can do one, set it here, another one, set it here. And I'm going to spray these ones, and if I have any overflow, I'm going to move it onto this one. That way I have plenty of space between them. And I'm going to spray these ones on. I rolled the epoxy primer on because I wanted to get it as deep in all these cracks as I could possibly get it. And I squeezed it down into them. That stuff's thin. It's thin as water. And I squeezed it down into all those cracks. So that's just about as good as I can do. But now I'm going to go ahead and spray this stuff on. All right, now I just finished shooting all that stuff this morning, and now I'm gonna get back on this bench. That's the next thing we're doing. So I've got the bottoms all attached. What I ended up doing was drilling 2 holes up underneath, one here and one here on each of these boards, and then putting in drywall screws just to hold the bottom together. And these are, as you can see, this is over 3/4 of an inch. These are stout pallet boards that I'm using here. So drilling the hole and running that up in there, that works out really well, and that really secures the bottom of it for me. And now I'm going to go ahead and space them out and drill into here from the other side and into there from the other side and finish out the top here. And now I have the top done the same. I have screws in every other one. That's only because it's the weekend and I only have a limited amount of the drill bits that it takes to do this, and you break at least one when you're doing one of these jobs, and I've already broken 2 today. So I've got every other one in all the way around, and I still have a drill bit or 2. And now I'm going to go ahead and put my design on here and work on getting that cut out. All right, now here's the design I've gone with. Big rounded corner, about 2.5 inches above the rail there. We're about 1.5 inches out in front of the rail here, and another rounded corner, but not so largely rounded. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. I'm going to cut the straight parts off with a skill saw and the other parts off with a jigsaw. All right, now what I've done here is I've looked online for some simple flower designs, and I've cut out 3 different size petals. And then I found circular patterns that could fit within the center of them that could jive with the size of the petals, that it remains somewhat proportionally. And now I've traced one of them onto here, You see the smallest of the three circles and then the smallest of the petals being right here. And now I'm going to do a larger one and then the largest one, and then I'm going to stand back and look at it and see what I think, and then we'll go from there. And here I've just about got it all masked up with this 1/4-inch vinyl tape. Got to finish up this little spot right here. I've got these cut out in the final shape. They're not permanently placed, but they're where they're going to end up being. So getting good progress. All right, got everything all masked off the way I want it. And I've got my paint mixed up, a foam roller. Now I'm going to gently apply some of that paint to that bench. Hopefully not get too out of hand. All right, well, it's about time to go ahead and unmask it. So that's what we're going to do now. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and mount these armrests. I'm going to do it with these short drywall screws from the underside of here. And then I'm going to put a full-length drywall screw into here, into a hole that I drill. And those three should hold it pretty well. So we're done with this one. Let's go ahead and have a look. So yeah, built out of a 1958 pickup truck seat frame, trampoline poles, washers. I think they're washers that go to a snowplow setup, pallet wood. Even the screws I used happen to be used. And then I did this one in automotive paint. So a person can do it in latex, they can do it in whatever they want to do it in. I did it in automotive because I wanted a certain amount of sheen and I wanted it to hold up really, really well because it's going to sit outside year round. Repeated the design all the way around the edges. Now it's ready to be moved outside. So there you have it. I built a bench. It didn't cost me anything. We needed another bench on the property, preferably one that would seat 3. And now we have one and it didn't cost a single thing, a little bit of elbow grease. So keep in mind, you can do very much the same thing. If there's something you need, a planting box or a door stop even, or even a paperweight, or I mean, anything small to medium to big that you could stand to have around, look around. Look behind your shed. Look between your shed and your fence. Look underneath your deck. Just look around in some ways to form those materials. If you can put it all together, why don't you just give that a shot? Go ahead and subscribe if you guys haven't already, because we're doing stuff like this all the time. See you guys around.